Here's a quick recap of today's price action. Now, coming into the day, I had a pretty neutral bias, but I was leaning short-term bearish. As you can see, we've just swept internal buy-side liquidity inside of a daily bearish fair value gap, where we have now started to disrespect high time frame bullish PDAs. From here, you can see that we have a lot of room for price to rebalance lower, such as these Asia lows, 4-hour unmitigated bullish fair value gap, as well as discount of this dealing range. At this point in time, I figured that this data high was somewhat protected, given that it is swept liquidity inside of a high time frame bearish PDA. So if I want to see this get swept, I first want to see price rebalance lower to have a reason to continue expanding higher to this drawn liquidity above. Now, coming into market open, as I said, we just disrespected a 1-hour bullish fair value gap, and we have now created a 30-minute bearish fair value gap. So this 30-minute bearish fair value gap is going to be my condition to see prices higher or lower. If we respect it, I want to see a rebalance to all of those draws on liquidity below. If we respect it, I want to see prices higher to that data high. So moving on to open, you can see that right at open, we immediately start displacing higher, and then we start retracing lower. So at this point in time, we are still respecting this 30-minute bearish fair value gap, and we still have a ton of draws on liquidity below. Therefore, seeing this 30-minute be my condition and getting respected, and then this 5-minute getting disrespected after also disrespecting that 1-hour bullish, this just screamed bearish to me to see a rebalance lower. So right when we got this, I ended up taking a position short, stop loss at the swing high, and I was just targeting these Asia lows here with my break even at this internal low right here. So as you can see, this actually never ended up hitting my break-even point. So why did I go break-even? The simple reason why I went break-even is because we had red folder news at 10 a.m. and I was trading on a lot of firms with a news rule. So I ended up getting out at break-even on most of my accounts, and then unfortunately I took a small loss on the rest of my accounts that I remained in this position here. But overall, I really like this trade and very fortunate that I got stopped at break even on most of my accounts and only took a small loss here. I do want to emphasize that had this data high not been something I considered protected, then I think this would have been a bad trade idea. But given that this data high was a high that swept liquidity inside of a high time frame bearish PDA, where we have a ton of unmitigated bullish PDAs below, I just figured, and I still figured, that we would rebalance lower prior to seeing continued distribution higher. As you can see, that's not what ended up happening. We're disrespecting high time frame bullish PDAs, respecting high time frame bearish, and we just continue to do that fractally. Therefore, I was just using the conditions to frame my trade idea. And then moving on, we ended up getting like this 15-minute continuation here where we end up mitigating a 15-minute bullish. I think from here, it was very clear that the overall draw on liquidity was going to be this data high. We ended up tapping into a 15-minute bullish, and we were about to get a 2-minute inversion. I was very open to taking this setup, just accepting that my bias was wrong. But as you can see, this absolutely ripped. So unfortunately, I was not able to take that. But overall, actually a pretty bad day after that 5-minute. But as I said, I still like that 5-minute. So I hope you guys learned something from the video, and drop a comment below and let me know how your trading day was.